What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another edition of Live from Redhook here at the Function House. I'm Mike Gentile, along here with Anthony Vitale. And tonight, we'd like to welcome our very special guest DJ, Tim Martell. Welcome to the show, man.
Thanks, guys.
Queens
nice
in the building.
In the building. Queens is in the house.
What part of Queens?
From Ozone Park.
Ozone Park.
Ozone Park, huh?
A lot of DJs came out of that area.
A lot of DJs have come out of that area. And Cyndi Lauper.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know she was from...
Cyndi Lauper's from Ozone Park. That's our claim right there.
Really?
So Don Peps.
Don Peps, baked clams.
You get a table there, no problem?
Go late.
Do you still live in Queens? Or no?
I still live in Queens.
Really?
Yeah,
Ozone Park?
No, I live close by near Howard Beach.
All right. Oh, you moved over there.
Yeah, I moved over to the
other side.
To the nicer side.
You still go to Don Peps?
Every once in a while, I do. Yeah. The baked clams are legit.
Right?
They are legit.
Everything is really good there.
But actually, the veal is amazing.
The veal Don Pep is good.
You see, we've already gone into the food topic.
Actually, I'm starving. I haven't eaten anything. And the only problem with Don Peps
is the weight.
Well, you're gonna eat yourself to an oblivion, right? And
it is heavy.
The next day, you just have garlic, like
the garlic
pouring out of your skin.
The oil, the garlic and the oil are heavy. Yep.
Yeah, they cook with a lot of garlic, but unbelievable food.
Well, it's good to have you here, man.
It's good to be here. You guys have a beautiful setup here. I'm extremely impressed. This is I need to step my game up.
Or just come hang out more.
You know what? I think I'm gonna take you up on that.
Come down anytime you want.
Born and raised in Ozone Park.
Yeah.
How did you get into the DJ business?
So I got into the DJ business. I started when I was 14, and a long time ago, my mom didn't want me to buy a motorcycle or a quad, and I had some money saved up. She had a family friend had a work friend whose son was a DJ, and started doing the mobile stuff, like the Sweet 16s, the communion parties. And, I DJ'd some local stuff in Queens. My friend's father had a bar. I DJ'd there. And then when I got to college, I started promoting. And I saw that as like an open door. And we were talking about this before. The very first night that I promoted was for Club Expo, which was in Times Square in the city. It was a great spot.
It's a great club. Expo.
You DJ'd there. And the first night that I promoted, it was Space Frog was the main floor headline, and Anthony Vitale was DJing upstairs in the hip hop room with DJ Riz. So the first night
that was the first night you.
That was the first night I promoted.
The Sky Room.
So this had to be around 96, 97.
This was in 1997.
Oh my God!
And
so long ago.
Shortly after that, I kept on promoting, and we got the promoter that I work with ended up getting a plug at the Tunnel. And we ended up doing a party at the legendary Tunnel. That was, we did one of the rooms, the smaller rooms upstairs.
So that pic that we used for the flyer, is that you on the steps of the Tunnel?
So that is the Tunnel. And when I had my friend Jose Martinez did my photos for me, and I picked out 2 spots, and that was the first spot. I knew exactly where I wanted to go.
We knew what it was as soon as we seen the picture.
Yeah, I saw on the Instagram too. Riz was like tunnel steps. I'm like, yep. So we did a party at the Tunnel, and we did one of the small rooms. We put around 650 people in there. It went until 6 a.m. And that was great for one of those small rooms.
And what were you playing at the time?
We're all hard house. Like, I grew up loving hip hop, old school hip hop, and house music. A little bit of trance. At the Tunnel, it was all New York style hard house. So I was playing that. That's what I played at in the clubs. And Peter Gation walked in, the owner of the Tunnel, and also the owner of Limelight and other clubs. And he saw the party, and he ended up offering us a weekly at Limelight. And that's how I got my first real.
That was your first.
That was my first. That was like what I was like. Oh shit! I'm like I'm DJing at Limelight. Like, this is gonna be a big thing. So.
And what room were you DJing at Limelight? And what night was it?
We started off on Wednesdays. Probably the worst night in New York.
Actually,
City.
Wednesday nights at Limelight was not a bad night.
It was fantastic because it ended up keeping going for a while, and then we ended up moving to Thursdays, and then we stayed there until maybe about 6 months before it shut down and packed up.
So you were playing main floor and you were playing house music?
Main floor. I actually, one night, like, I kind of freaked out. Like, I ended up opening up for Frankie Bones, who was like a, New York techno.
It's amazing
legend.
that you got to experience DJing at the Limelight and the Tunnel. Like, these are clubs that you can't really describe to people now.
Right.
But you had to like just be there and be in the moment.
Yeah.
You're really lucky that you got a chance to play those.
I'm very thankful that I have that on my resume as a staple, and that's what kind of like, when people say like, oh, what was the first New York City Manhattan club that you played at? I'm like, the Tunnel. And they're like, oh yeah, like I'm sure you were just. I'm like, no, I'm like, I played at the Tunnel. I played main floor Limelight. I have a whole bunch of pictures still that can prove it.
So when you were playing in the Tunnel, when you got that start, and you're playing the side room, who was playing in the main floor at that time?
I don't know who was playing. Well, the main floor on Friday nights was Eddie Baez.
Yep.
And he did the Fridays, and then Saturdays was a combination of Steven Zor and Danny Tenaglia. And Danny was like a big major influence on me.
Yeah, and he held the residency. I think we've talked about this on the show once before, though. He held the residency at Saturdays for a while, and then it was like Junior on Saturdays for a while.
Yeah, and then they had like kind of like that battle where Junior was at Twilo, and Danny was at Tunnel.
Yeah.
It was a great time in New York.
Yeah, and then in the basement, they also did have a hip hop room, and in the basement, I know Riz did a lot of stuff in the basement.
The library.
In the library, yes, the library, and they had actual real books on the shelves. I think there was a DJ 007 who used to.
Yes, that's right.
He used to spin hip hop down there, and those. If you needed a break from the house, it was like a blessing to go down there, and you heard some like real hip hop going down.
Did you ever go to Flex on a Sunday?
I went one time to
once.
pick up a check, and it was like at 10:30, 11 o'clock, and I was like, I do not think I belong here anymore. I was a little shook, I was like 19 and just like, I don't know about this.
It was aggressive.
Yeah,
it wasn't aggressive.
I did not. I cannot say that I stayed the entire night. I was like, I don't think I fit in here. Like something's gonna happen to me. I was a little shook.
Me and my friends, we did one Sunday, and we actually stayed for like at least till 2 o'clock in the morning. It was pretty surreal.
Yeah,
yeah.
That was like, I think when people talk about the Tunnel, they probably talk more about that Sunday hip hop party more than what was going on during the house parties.
So you're a vinyl guy.
Started out vinyl guy, still collect vinyl. Turntables. We've moved to Serato. I can rock on CDJs too. Sometimes you actually have to.
Turntables though.
I've lately, what's going on, I do love turntables. It's always been my first and foremost, but I played a couple festivals in the past 2 years where the bass was just too much, and I had to end up going on to like internal on the turntables on the Serato, and it was just too much to hold the needles. So I ended up saying the next night I performed at the same festival, I was like, we have to scrap the turntables. Like, I need CDJs because it's not going to be able to hold.
So what festival, what you doing, and
this was for a summer camp for WeWork summer camp. They actually have they book some pretty big acts, and I think this one I was opening up for Chainsmokers or Chromeo.
So you were playing like dance music?
Yeah, I was playing really open format for that. It was like more party stuff on this particular night. The second night I was playing dance music, house music.
Where did they hold the festival?
It was at a campsite upstate New York, middle of woods.
That's cool.
No phone reception. It was like.
So how do you get booked? How do you get booked for that?
Well, a lot of the stuff booking wise is that I've always dealt with is just through referrals and friends that people have saw me or know that I know my music and that I'm just a good guy to work with. Business savvy. I think you have to be business savvy in this. If you don't know what you're doing, like with your bookings, and if you're not on top of it, if you're not on top of your email, if you're not on top of your text messages, when the bat phone rings, you better answer it, because if you don't, you're not going to get it. So it's just kind of like a lot of word of mouth. I mean, there's nothing in particular. I've never been on an agency. I have my own agency now with a couple of guys, Rare Form Sound, but we book a lot of stuff and manage other DJs. But I've never been hired to an agency, because I felt that as many people like to deal with a manager or with a booking agent, there's other half that just want to deal with you directly. So I'm comfortable in talking with people directly and just handling it on my own.
And you're also keeping some more cash in your pocket, right?
Yeah. I would assume so. Like, I do know. Like, well, I shouldn't say like I'm keeping more cash. I know exactly what I'm getting. The numbers are up front, and I know that this is what I'm going to get paid, and this is what I want, and let's make it happen.
So you were also teaching for a while.
Yeah, I taught at Scratch DJ Academy for 11 years. And
put in a bid over there.
Yeah, a little bit.
So what's that like, teaching DJs
you mean
how to scratch?
You pay good money?
The money, you know what? The money isn't, astronomical. Certainly not like what the money is today, like what DJs are getting. But I really enjoyed teaching. I miss teaching. Not every DJ is a great teacher.
Yep.
And it was a skill that I think I ended up having and was able to turn into. It was just something that I really enjoyed, passing on music knowledge. And a lot of DJs today really don't know what they're doing. Even more so because I think that a lot of DJs, or what people think are DJs, aren't really DJs. They're more producers. And they don't have the understanding of or the ability to read a crowd. So I tried to pass that stuff on in my teaching as much as I could.
So it's got to be frustrating, like dealing with people who like can't even clap on beat to wanting to learn how to DJ.
Yeah, it's, not everyone has it. It's you got to be honest with them. Like, maybe DJing isn't for you. Like, there's only so much you really, if math is a massive part of DJing. If you are not good at math, if you don't get numbers, you're not going to be good at DJing.
So I was terrible in math.
We got an exception. We have an exception.
So how does it work in Scratch Academy in terms of like the classes? And did you teach like a specific type of class, or did you teach like on different levels? Like, how does the whole, is there like a curriculum?
Yeah, they
like,
had a curriculum, like, whereas like an intro, like a second tier, third tier, and then mixing classes. I would do more of the mixing and advanced mixing classes, not so much like scratching.
Yep.
I use turntables, but I would definitely not call myself a turntablist as far as the standards of what are out there today.
You sounded pretty good on the warm-ups before.
Yeah, but I'm no DJ craze, like.
So what about like homework? Do you send the students home with like mixes to do, or
practice.
like blends?
Practice. If you don't practice, you're not going to get better. They would part of the schooling would be at the end of their class, they would need to perform a set that they create. They could play whatever they want, 5, 10 songs. And everything that we taught in that class would lead up to them performing in front of their classmates, which isn't necessarily the easiest thing to do.
Of course not.
But if you're going to be a DJ, you need to be in the front of, you need to be the center of attention sometimes and be comfortable with that. So that was a way to do that.
Did you guys teach any, like, I guess, maybe you would call it like DJ music theory? Like?
Music theory would be, if I had to pick one class or one specific thing in DJing, it is music theory. And I told my students, I was like, if you do not get this, I will gladly go over this again and again and again until you get it. Because if you do not get, the dealing of actually going through bars and knowing when the right moment to transition to the next song is, that's what makes a party. People can beat match, people can go in from one song into another, if they can get music theory and know the actual structure of like power mixing of a flow, that's the number one thing I think in DJing. And that's what I listen for when I go out and listen to other DJs. If a DJ doesn't get music theory, I'm out the door.
Yeah.
You're wasting your time there. So
you do a lot of traveling. What do you think, coming from New York, how does that benefit you as a DJ?
It probably benefited a little bit more a couple years ago, just because of the access of knowing the New York sound. You know, people kind of consider, you know, New York is the home of hip hop.
The trendsetters,
right?
Yeah.
Trendsetters. I think having that as a staple, like that New York DJ, has definitely given me opportunities to go to Europe and be like, wow, you know, like they're bringing a DJ from New York, or even like, you know, within the States, you know, they're still bringing a DJ from New York. I think now you really got to be next level, because the technology just makes it so easy, and a lot of people don't want to pay for a DJ to come from New York when they have a local guy that can do, you know, maybe if not the same job, but something that's pretty close. So.
And the competition is so great nowadays.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. Like you have to have an insane music catalog that other DJs don't have, or really be blowing minds as a DJ, or, you know, producing your own music, because that's what's getting booked.
So that's what you're doing, right? You're getting into production.
So I've been working on production for the past few years, but lately just nonstop, and that's my main focus, is actually putting out my own music that I would be able to play, and that's going to be my sound, because that's the staple of what makes the money. You know, we're not, you know, no one's selling records anymore,
right.
But you get booked and you make your money by getting booked for shows and doing tours, and the way to do that is you have to have something different, and the only way you're gonna have something different is by creating your own sound and your own music. So
it's like the only way to take it to that level is
you
got to get yourself in the studio, lock
right.
yourself in the studio,
exactly.
and
You have
come
to do
out
it
with a hit
every day. If you want to make good music, you have to, same way as DJing, you have to practice every day. So you have to get in the habit of making music every day.
So what music are you in the studio making?
It's a combo of a little bit of everything. I'm definitely, you know, even house head, hip hop. It's ranging from something that's like 120 beats per minute to other futuristic trappy beats that are like 70, 75 beats per minute. It's a lot of
So it's basically stuff. You get in the studio, whatever you feel. That's what you're making.
I don't have any set plan. I kind of like listen to a sound and let that sound take its own direction. I'm not forcing myself to make something, so this way I'm not putting limiting what I'm making. I'm just kind of letting it go.
Do you make tracks where, you know, we were talking about this before the show, in terms of like people's music collections and differentiating your sound from, say, the next guy's sound? So are there things that you make in the studio, whether it's mixes, your own edits, that you hold on for yourself and you won't put out into the masses, so that
I actually
have your toolbox?
I do have a couple of edits that I don't release. You know, there's a couple. I've only have a handful of actual like real original tracks or like remixes that are on the internet, but I don't have. There are a couple of things that I keep to myself that make it unique for that live either club or festival.
So you ever get people coming up to you and like, yo,
Yeah.
what is that?
Yeah.
Where can I get that?
Yeah, maybe not where can I get that. They're like, yo, that was dope. Like, I'm like, all right, cool, thanks.
So you came up at a really great time for DJing in New York, especially.
Yes.
So there had to be some DJs that some influences, some DJs that helped you out.
Yeah. You know, probably my biggest influence was Mark Ronson. I was actually, one of my friends has a security business, and I was working as a security guard when I was like 19, 20 years old, and they were doing a fashion after party for Donna Karan, and it was in the new Donna Karan store, and Mark Ronson was the DJ. And I just saw him play music. And at the time, I was DJing, I had hip-hop, and I had house music, hard house music. And I saw Mark Ronson, he played Human League, Don't You Want Me? And, in the part, Don't You Want Me? Oh, he dropped it out, and like 1,000 people sang, and I was like, my mind was blown. I was just like, what? I'm like, this guy has this entire crowd going ape for an 80s track. And that kind of like opened up me to other genres. Guys like that, everyone loves Jazzy Jeff. He was the first DJ that I actually listened to and found a sample. He had a track, Here We Go Again, with Fresh Prince, and it actually samples Bob James' Westchester Lady. And I was listening to the jazz station, I think, which was like Smooth 101.9 at the time in the city. And I was listening to this Bob James, this one track, and then the sample hit, and I'm like, oh my God, that's Jazzy Jeff. I'm like, that's what he was listening to. So that was also another play. New York staples, like in Queens, I would go to the record store. DJ Mayday was a big influence because his mixtapes. I would go, and that was the sound that I was listening to, and I would see his mixtapes in Liberty Records on Liberty Avenue in Ozone Park, and I'm like, wow, I can't wait until I can make a mixtape. Like, no joke, in DJing, I never expected to take it to the level that I got. I honestly, all I ever wanted was my name to be on a flyer. That was it. I thought that was the coolest thing.
How was it? The first flyer your name was on?
The first flyer.
How cool is that?
I mean, I have almost every single flyer that I've ever been. Like, I take pictures of it, and actually, I was talking to him before. I have this flyer of him with the Space Frog at Expo. But it was cool. Like, when you see your name,
it's a good feeling.
It is a good feeling. Like, to be like, you're supporting some big acts, and that, or if the night is yours, it's, now I'm just like, oh, anyone can just jump on Adobe or something like that and make your own. Yeah. But at the time, I was just like, wow. I'm like, a flyer. This is insane.
It was a different time. I think, like, obviously DJs still get a lot of respect, but I felt like years ago, DJs were like really respected.
Totally. It's just the way that technology has moved. Even like with Twitter, it's like now people, like, if you want to be like respected, you feel like you have to have like this crazy Twitter following or Instagram following, where that's not the case at all. Like, I know some amazing DJs that just don't get the shine that they deserve, and it's not their fault at all. It's more about just the public not realizing what a real DJ is and what the musicians are doing when they're playing their music or DJing.
Yep. So, coming up from a time that you came up in playing at places like Tunnel and Limelight, you've seen the transition where it's went from dancing to jumping.
Yeah, so I hate it. It's just more about like the festival takeover. It's something that I don't want to follow in my music production too. Me personally, like, I'm not trying to make you jump every 30 seconds and then you just stand around for like a minute waiting for the build up to happen again. Like, to do EDM is like cake. But if you want, to DJ house music and to actually have a consistent beat and have people dance continuously for 4 hours, 5 hours, 10 hours, like, I remember guys, Danny Tangle used to do like crazy 12-hour sets, 13-hour sets. Yeah. People would be dancing the whole night, like straight. And, you have like your little breaks, but not like how it is today. And like, I'm just not, I'm kind of over it. I was a lot more pissed off a long time ago, but now I'm just like, you know what? Like, if you're going to do something about it, instead of complaining about it, make your own music, make your own sound that's going to bring what you want out of it. So that's what I'm trying to work on, and it'll come out when it's ready and mastered. It's almost there.
So besides the production, the stuff that you're working on, I see that you're still out there DJing. You're doing Gold Bar on Monday nights.
Yes, Gold Bar, shout out to Joe at Gold Bar.
Joe who?
You mean Johnny?
Joe's who I deal with. No, Johnny.
Shout out to Joe Savasio.
Yeah, do the Mondays party at Gold Bar every other Monday. I'm in there, or every couple weeks I'll be DJing in there. Do stuff at Mr. Purple with Rare Form Sound, spot on the LES, and then I do a lot of like the corporate stuff. It's just better paying, like private events. TV money. I do like NBC up front and did some stuff for Fox Sports. So like they pay the bills. A lot of the other stuff is just fun to keep me in there. But the corporate side of stuff and the private parties are like a big staple.
Yeah, and people actually dance at those parties. Right?
Yeah, people get tuned up. People get tuned up. Like it's kind of cool to see people actually enjoy themselves.
Yeah.
Put the phone down and
just go in.
And just go in.
Yeah.
Like it's if people feel like they're within their peers and they're next to their peers and they don't have to worry about who's watching them, and it's secure place. People let loose.
Yeah.
And it's kind of fun to rock out.
Tim, it's been great catching up with you, man.
Yeah, man, it's been a minute.
Thanks for coming down. We're looking forward to hearing you play. You got something planned for us?
Not fully. I never actually do plan out my sets, but I kind of have. I'm gonna play some. Start out with some old school hip hop, some classic hip hop that like I grew up listening to in New York, and then some some house beats, and then kind of like just like a mix of everything. I really am super eclectic with the music that I listen to, pretty much everything but country. I know probably a lot of people had that. I'm a city boy, so like
nobody has yet played country on the show.
It's not happening tonight, right? So
No Kenny Chesney?
I don't even know who that is, man. No.
Blake Shelton?
No.
Come on, man.
I know that. What was that? Darius.
Darius Rucker?
There, Darius Rucker. Wagon Wheel, which is like a rip off of Old
My
Crow
nephew sing
Medicine
Wagon
Show.
Wheel.
Garth Brooks.
Garth Brooks, I know him.
Okay. I got friends in lonely places.
Does he sing that?
Yeah, I think so.
I know.
All right, we're going to take a 2-minute break. We're going to get Tim Martell up on the decks. Live from Redhook here at the Function House. Peace.
Cool.
Peace.